To go. And event organizers have
Now to other major news on this Saturday night. Massive crowds gathering from coast to coast for those so-called No King's Day protests, counter-programming to the military parade in Washington, D.C., marking the Army's 250th birthday. Protests planned in all 50 states and law enforcement on high alert. ABC's Matt Gutman is in Los Angeles tonight.
Birthday. You wanted to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday and spend $60 million.
Take a look around. You are surrounded. Stand up with your hands empty and above your head and come to the sound of my voice.
Let's do that one more time for you all, but I understand it came across cleanly.
We have an arrest warrant. Take a look around.
I suppose that helps keep this idea of cohesiveness, too, that everybody can have a role no matter what their station in life is.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, going back to what you said earlier about the citizen soldier and why the skills that you learn in the Army is so important in everyday life.
Sure you've had enough. This life.
All right, welcome to That Damn Progressive. I'm David Croft. How are ya? Man, oh man. Was this past week something or what? So I'm going to go through a few different things here. The far-right extremists who ended up killing 2 Minnesota state lawmakers. We're going to go into the latest on that. Anti-ICE protests, no kings, and then Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian obsessing over optics for whatever reason. I don't know why they're thinking that's a winning strategy when it's not. Trump's military birthday parade proved to be a big flop. Trump now trying to essentially provoke a civil war here in the United States while also allowing Israel to go to war with Iran. And then finally, I want to take a look at I'm trying to remember, I didn't jot this down like I was supposed to. We're going to end it on a kind of a funny note, so stick around for that. We're going to dive into the first story here. If I can find my article, here it is. Make sure you like and subscribe. It would really help out in the algorithm and all that. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get this put back how I had it. There it is. All right, let me shrink my part down. There we go. Okay. So, during the events on Saturday, there was a Minnesota man who ended up killing a state lawmaker and her spouse, and then attempted to murder a Minnesota state senator. The man accused of killing a Minnesota state lawmaker and wounding another went to the homes of 2 other lawmakers to carry out more carnage on the night of the shootings, a federal prosecutor said. But one of the other state lawmakers was not home, and the suspect left the house after the police arrived, according to U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson in a press release from today. The suspect, Vance Voltaire, surrendered to police Sunday after they found him in the woods near his home following a massive manhunt that began early Saturday near Minneapolis. He is accused of posing as a police officer and fatally shooting former Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark in their home early Saturday in the northern Minneapolis suburbs. Now, this shooting did result in Minnesota suspending their No Kings protests, which honestly, I can understand it, but at the same time, you pretty much gave the asshole what he wanted, in a way. So, you can look at this as like a good thing out of abundance of precaution for those who might have been targeted. The asshole also did have no Kings flyers, but it looked like they were planted because it was just literally... Hold on. I can even do a reenactment of what that looked like. Da, da, da. We'll just go with this guy. Might as well have just had a bunch of these written on little flyer notes or legal pads like this, is really what they found in that car. So part of me wonders if he was going to pretty much frame it as the No Kings protesters being the ones to carry out that, when that's not the case. He had a list of like 70 different lawmakers, including Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, that he wanted to go after. So no to every single dipshit who has been trying to say, oh, it was a Democrat, it was one of theirs. No, you're an idiot. All right, so the 57-year-old Voltaire was charged with federal murder, stalking offenses. He was already facing state charges, including murder and attempted murder. Now, the state charges, that's a good thing because it means President Whiny Little Bitch won't be able to pardon him. So, good on the Minnesota state lawmakers for that one. Thompson said it was too early to say if the Justice Department would seek a death penalty, but noted that was among the options available to the government based on the charges. The counts charged in the criminal complaint could be amended by prosecutors as they pursue a grand jury indictment as a prerequisite for bringing the case to trial. So, they're going to go through the proper channels and all that, even though this guy did what he did. And of course, we've had Laura Loomer sitting there saying, trying to say this was a Democratic guy. He voted for Trump, okay? Right-wing extremism. Senator Mike Lee, who is a senator in title only because he's more like a social media troll. Let's just be honest here. And the stupid fuck decided to say, this is what happens when Marxists don't get their way. And I really appreciate Kyle Kulinski's response here. This right-wing terrorist murdered Minnesota Democrats as a registered Republican, supported Trump as a fundamentalist Christian, is an anti-abortion extremist, has a big list of all Democrats to kill. Mike Lee is a demented, vile, lying cretin. He should be censured and forced to resign. 100% I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And then, of course, Don Jr. being dumb enough to say this on News Nation.
The political rhetoric in this country, you know what happened in Minnesota recently, but of course your family is familiar with threats and political threats.
Listen, my father's been shot at. I've been tried to, the other side has tried jailing me. They talk a lot about, the rhetoric and the violence, and it seems to be mostly caused by them.
Okay, hold on. Let me put it back in normal speed because I didn't realize he was coked up for this.
They talk a lot about, the rhetoric and the violence, and it seems to be mostly caused by them. The 2020 summer of love did not seem like a summer of love.
For the record, it wasn't.
The politicians at high-level places encouraging people to attack my father did not seem fair. If Republicans were doing that, they'd be thrown in jail. When a Democrat does it, it's to preserve democracy.
Yeah, Democrats have not been doing that. Stupid. A lot of the extremism has been coming from the far right, coming from MAGA. So what the fuck are you even trying? Oh yeah, you guys love deflection. I forgot about that.
You don't think everybody's got to tune it down a little bit or turn it down a little bit?
Listen, I think what we have to actually do, I would love to see all of that turn down, but I think I'm seeing it come from the left. Everyone talks about Minnesota, but they don't talk about the guy seems to be a leftist. It's a Minnesota politician.
That is a lie. He is proven to have voted for Trump. He is a registered Republican. He is a fundamental Christian. So try again, Donnie.
guy who was appointed by the Democrat governor, vice presidential candidate for the Democrat Party, Tim Walz. The guy that committed those atrocities this weekend is a Democrat. That was a Democrat governor who is, an ardent leftist pushing these things, and he attacked someone who voted against. He attacked a Democrat who voted against giving taxpayer funding and free health care to illegals across America. I mean, that doesn't.
If anybody's believing this, all I have to say is...
You fucking mark!
Because everything we have heard so far and found out, it does not tie into this narrative. He was not a leftist, you fucking idiot.
Doesn't seem like that should be a controversial thing to vote against, but if you're a Democrat that breaks away from the Democrats, they'll commit violence amongst themselves, it seems. And so that is scary. That should upset a lot of people. But, watching the framing that this is some sort of MAGA person, it's just so predictable at this point. It's such.
What is predictable is the rampant deflection coming from the right. Now, there was another video. I guess they interviewed the guy's roommate. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Because this was like the one clip I wasn't able to grab like right away, and I was trying to hurry up because I realized I was running behind. Ah, here it is. But take a listen to this.
I love you guys. I made some choices, and you guys don't know anything about this, but I'm going to be gone for a while. Sorry. Take your time. Maybe dead shortly. So I just want to let you know I love you guys both, and I wish it had gone this way. I don't want to say anything more and implicate you in any way, because you don't know anything about this. But I love you guys, and I'm sorry for all the trouble this has caused. I love you guys.
Ay, 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 ay. I mean, the fact that he thinks that this guy is capable of love is truly hilarious. Let me see. There was another one where he flat out even acknowledged he was Voltaire was a Trump supporter. Hold on. Might have been under top, not media. Let's see. But there is another reason that we're saying he is a Christian fundamentalist, and that would be this.
Peut arriver dans chaque pensée.
So there's no sin.
Et il n'y a aucun péché
That God can't take care
que
of.
Dieu ne peut pas enlever.
Nothing.
Il n'y a rien.
There's people, especially in America,
Il y a des gens, particulièrement aux États-Unis,
they don't know what sex they are. They don't know how their sexual orientation. They're confused.
ils ne savent pas ce qu'ils sont exactement. Ils ont une confusion.
The enemy has gotten so far into their mind and their soul.
Et l'ennemi est entré dans le fond de leur pensée et de leur âme.
But this word
Mais cette parole
cuts deeper.
va
Oh, son of a bitch!
aux profondeurs.
Because it's living.
Parce qu'elle est
And
vivante.
it's active.
Et elle est agissante.
And God goes down there and pulls that out.
Et elle peut entrer dans notre cœur et enlever tout ce qui est de mal.
And He sets every person free.
Et pouvoir nous libérer. Le Seigneur peut arriver dans chaque pensée.
So there's no
Christ.
sin.
All right, you guys got the point. Religious fundamentalist lunatic So why are we even surprised?
Luther Bolter. This has been confirmed by the Associated Press through unnamed sources, but this is the person that they're looking for. He's 57 years old, and he has an extensive police security background, okay? He is currently the Director of Security Patrols at Praetorian Guard Security Services here in the Twin Cities. Now, that company's website says...
Now, for the record, the Government Workforce Development Board, Tim Walz's predecessor, originally appointed him in 2016. Tim Walz, I don't agree with the idea of reappointing this religious nut job back to that position, but he did. He did, plain and simple.
Is that Vance is involved with security situations, or has been, in Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, the Middle East, including the West Bank, southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. He has also worked, according to their website, with the largest U.S. oil refining company, also the world's largest food company based in Switzerland, and the world's largest convenience retailer based in Japan. So he has extensive security backgrounds across the globe. According to his educational background, this is from another website that I found, the Minnesota Africans United website, and he apparently very well served with that organization, that he majored in international relations at St. Cloud State, has his master's in management along with his doctorate in education from Cardinal Stritch University in Milwaukee, which is a very reputable university in the Milwaukee area. Now, here's another interesting point, Kels. He was appointed by Governor Walz back in 2016 to serve on the governor's workforce board. That term expired in 2018. He was reappointed in 2019. That term expired in 2023. And you have to understand, in state government, various governors have a lot of advisory boards to help them on various issues that the executive branch of government has to work with. Every governor has these. You know, Dayton had them, Pawlenty had them, Governor Walz certainly has them. And what the governor's workforce board does, it advises the governor on issues with workforce development across the state. And he was a private sector representative appointed to be on that board. Okay, so but his background with this private security company would match to some of the evidence found at the scene. Number one, the black security car that was there that looked very much like a police cruiser, that Ford Explorer with the lights that were still flashing on board, the entire car in black. And also, he would have access to the types of...
Not to mention, I wouldn't be surprised if ICE cosplayers were also utilizing this tactic just so they can go rob people, like we have seen in Philadelphia. Just saying.
Uniforms and equipment that Brooklyn Park police officers described the suspect wearing when they confronted him when he came out the front door of Melissa Hortman's home. Now, the police chief there, Chief Burley, described him wearing a police black uniform with a taser, various other apparatus on, and a badge, and he said that looked just like mine at the news conference this morning. In fact, he told all the reporters there at the time that if we were both standing in the same room, you would not know that he was not a police officer.
All right, let that sink in for just a moment. Let that sink in. Because remember that little picture Senator Mike Lee thought he was going to tweet being all cute, and he just really exposed himself for being a massive douchecock who doesn't need to be anywhere in government at all? Think about how easy that is for somebody with that type of background. That's a cakewalk. That's a cakewalk for them.
And again, according to the chief, after he engaged with the officers there, shots were exchanged. And sometimes, and Karen, you can speak to this because you've covered so many police news conferences over the years and you're one of our most outstanding crime reporters here in the Twin Cities. Sometimes you have to pay attention to what's not said in these statements. And in this particular news conference statement this morning, he said that they engaged fire with the suspect. Now, missing from that was whether they hit the suspect. We do not know that yet. We do not know whether he is injured, and they have not confirmed that. But they did say that the suspect then fled out the back door and has not been seen since, and that's the subject now of this very intense search that is going on in the Brooklyn Park area. Now,
by the way, they caught him, so we're not even going to stay on that clip. There's one other... it involves the roommate. I'm trying to find that other one where he flat out says, yeah, oh, this is probably it here.
Well,
yep, this is it.
Well, everyone's calling him a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. He would be offended if people called him a Democrat. So, but he, because of this board thing he was on for Governor Walz, it wasn't to serve. He was just serving the community. But he, you know, I can't believe a political issue would cause him to do such a thing.
Did he ever bring up the senator or the representative who were targeted?
Like I was saying, no, he never talked about that. I didn't know who those people were. I didn't recognize their names.
Any politicians he mentioned?
He mentioned Nancy Pelosi. He didn't like Jim Walz. Jim Walz? Didn't like Jim Biden. But I did. Tim Walz.
Laughing about that. Laughing. Let me replay it.
Nancy Pelosi. Didn't like Jim Walz. Jim Walz? Didn't like Jim Biden.
As far as this guy is concerned...
Oh, you're one of those.
Yeah. And by this guy, I'm talking about the roommate. Let's get back to this.
But I did.
Tim Walz? What would you say about him?
Well, I mean... Nothing I mean, it's just normal. Well, I don't like this, that Tim Walz did this. I don't like that he did that.
Did he mention the protests that were planned for yesterday?
He never mentioned the protests.
What do you make of everything that's happened here? And the fact
Maybe I mentioned it to him, but I don't think he mentioned anything.
What would you tell him?
I would tell him to surrender himself so he'd be taken alive, because he's like my best friend, so I don't want him to get killed. I don't want him to kill anyone else. You know, so I think if I saw him, I could talk him down. But you know, I don't know where he is.
And did he listen to any particular podcasts or TV shows or anything online that...
That's actually a good question right here. Did he listen to... Hold on, let me replay it. That's why I don't bungle what she said.
Podcasts or TV shows or anything online that concerns you?
That's a good question, because there is a lot of this far-right brainwashing that we see from the likes of Ben Shapiro. Now we got complete and utter jackasses like Asmongold, who, I'm just going to be completely honest, the only thing I agree with Asmongold on is that Jack Doherty is a piece of shit and doesn't deserve any fame whatsoever. Sure, my agreements with Asmongold start and end with the idea of fuck Jack Doherty. Okay, that's literally the extent of the agreement I have with Asmongold. But he just sits there and goes, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's a total idiot. Anyways.
Well, you listen to InfoWars. I kind of said, well, it's like 50% truth. You know, I kind of said, don't take everything what they say for granted. I wasn't a real truthful. I mean, they're on for some things, but some things are way off on.
Did he talk much about Trump? And what did he say, if so?
I was a Trump supporter. Voted for Trump.
And there it is. He was a Trump supporter and voted for Trump. So, to the likes of James Woods and Laura Loomer and Mike Lee, go pound dirt, as far as I'm concerned. Because as far as you and a bunch of other right-wing lunatics are concerned, I'm sorry, but you heard it from the roommate himself. He was a Trump supporter and voter. No amount of deflection and trying to scapegoat the left is going to take away from that. Sorry, the facts don't line up. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some more of the No Kings protest stuff. And also some really shitty takes from Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian from last week. So stick around. We'll be right back.
horses trampling on protesters, etc. Corporation.
No, Jay.
All right, so we are back. Sorry, it took a little longer to find the clip I needed. All right, so I did want to talk about the good that came out of the No Kings protests. And according to Democracy Now!, the No Kings Day protests drew over 5 million people across the United States. More than 5 million people took part in No Kings Day protests Saturday, in the largest day of action against Donald Trump since his return to office. Protests were held in 2,100 cities. Holy shit. Hold on. Here it is. That is awesome. Congrats. In Los Angeles, 200,000 people marched just days after Trump deployed the National Guard and Marines, which he did, of course, to escalate the tension and all that. Because God forbid people just protest ICE. You got to make it look like they're a part of some type of invasion when that's not even the case. I just can't with these maggots anymore. Bear with me. Also, I got Monday brain, in case you can't tell. That's why I'm very discombobulated with trying to get this together. In Philadelphia, over 100,000 people took to the streets. Democratic Congressmember Jamie Raskin of Maryland addressed the crowd. Yes, Donald, the Declaration and the Constitution were written by people who wanted to stop criminal bosses like you from taking state power. And he's 100% right there. Massive No Kings Day protests were also held in New York, San Diego, Chicago, Seattle, and other communities across the country. Devon Johnson took part in protests in Atlanta, where he said, "I don't recognize our country anymore. I don't believe that parents should be taken away from their kids. No one is illegal on stolen land." Well, think about it. That's actually true. Because think about this. When Europeans started traveling to what is now the United States, they would end up befriending the indigenous people and then eventually treating them like shit. And that's just to summarize it for the sake of time, really. I encourage you guys to take a deep dive into it. It's a really fascinating look up. And at times just downright horrifying. But going back to what Devon Johnson said. When our president does not listen to our courts, then we're in a pretty bad spot. No shit. Now, of course, there were those who would go on to cause anarchy. I believe if we're going to dig into this CNN article together. Protesters shot and killed at No Kings rally in Utah, police say. A man who was believed to be a part of a peacekeeping team for the No Kings protests in Salt Lake City shot at a person who was brandishing a rifle at demonstrators, striking both the rifleman and a bystander who later died at the hospital, authorities said Sunday. Police took the alleged rifleman, Arturo Gamboa, 24, I think that's how you pronounce his name, into custody Saturday evening on a murder charge, Salt Lake City Police Chief Brian Redd said at a Sunday news conference. The bystander was Arthur Valasa Alu, 39, a fashion designer from Samoa. So that's not good optics, especially if someone here is to be believed. And credit to Liz Ashley for putting this together. I'm sorry, but she deserves credit. I watched this last night, and holy hell, I actually recommend subscribing to her channel. I don't have a playback speed. Oh, there it is. All right, so let's dive into what Karen Asparagus had to say.
When they see that go down on the streets of Los Angeles, and as this now appears to be spreading to other parts of the country, you're going to lose the argument more.
Anna is at it again. Hello, my name is Liz Ashley and welcome to my channel. We're going to talk about Francesca calling out Anna Kasparian. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So Anna responded to the protests in LA Anna lives in LA. So does Francesca. And so Francesca responded to what she was saying. Now, Anna, of course, has gone down the conservative lane now. She has a lot of right-wing views, and yeah.
Yeah, she red-pilled herself. She fucking red-pilled herself. Let's just call it what it is. She red-pilled herself to the point where she is now pretty much a fascist enabler. And will probably be held accountable by The Hague at this rate, if the rate she's going, if you ask me.
And her coverage sounds a lot like mainstream media's coverage. So Francesca called her out, and I love Francesca for it. I love Francesca. I think she's amazing. She's not afraid to call anybody out. She's not afraid to say how she feels, I love her. I think she's amazing. Okay.
Hell, Franny was one of the inspirations behind this show. As much of a dumpster fire that it is.
Okay, so this is what she said. LOL, like clockwork, and even worse than I imagined, the Karen at the home of the progressives does it again. I love it. I love it. First of all, the allegation that violent criminals were arrested in LA raids is purely based on ICE itself and no real reporting. So is TYT now taking what ICE says at face value? Also, the centrists don't ruin protest. Also, the centrists don't ruin protest line and the Republican 2020 rewriting of history as if cops didn't instigate the violence against BLM. And the lie that demonstrating will lead to more detentions when they prevented ICE arrests on Saturday. Just stand back and watch your community get torn apart so you can win the moral argument. Truly a new low.
Oh boy. Why do I have a feeling I'm going to start vibrating like Cornette does when he gets pissed off? Why do I feel like that's about to start happening here? Let's see.
Yeah, I watched that video. I had to watch it in 2 times speed because I was getting very upset. Francesca put a clip and she put it with pundits like these.
If the response to what Trump is doing is rioting in the streets, flying foreign flags, burning the American flag, I just want people to think this through.
The way you don't think any of your arguments through anymore? Because you listen to total dipshits? There was one clip, I think a couple days ago, or like last week or something, where she was pretty much saying she listened to Joe Blow, or whatever the fuck his name was, and then paused for a second and then added for research purposes. I'm not kidding. I wish I could remember the schmuck's name. I really do. But she literally said that. And I wish I had this clip handy. I really do. Holy shit.
How exactly do you get the American people on your side when it comes to immigration policy? See, rather than rioting, I would think strategically about how to use all the videos that exist of mothers being arrested before they can even pick their kids up from school. They're getting arrested and deported. Their kids are in school. They're begging to at least be able to talk to their kids before being detained, but they won't let that happen.
Why do I have a feeling it gives Anna a pussy boner to see that?
Those videos are heartbreaking. You lose the argument when you start engaging in violence and when you destroy cities, when you light things on fire. You lose the argument.
And then she posted another clip and said, when the anti-corporate media sounds pretty corporate.
And we do. We have millions of people with...
For the record, this was pretty much the same post, as you can tell from the up here. That first clip was 2 of 2, and this is 1 of 2. I tried finding this on Francesca's Instagram profile, and unfortunately it logged me out, and I gotta reset my password and all that just to get back in. So this is where I'm glad I remembered seeing this last night when trying to get stuff ready for today's show. Obviously, didn't quite go as planned, but you get the idea. At least this is a backup, and I really do like what Liz Ashley does say here in a minute.
Undocumented status in the United States some of whom are actually committing crimes. I know lefties want to pretend like that doesn't exist. It does exist. So I have no problem with ICE targeting those individuals. And to be sure,
for the record, they literally caught pretty much almost all the criminal ones, like within the first couple of days, maybe a week, but within the first couple of days of this regime, Anna. A regime I wouldn't be surprised that you voted for, in all honesty.
sure, some of the people that got arrested by ICE in Los Angeles over this weekend had been convicted of some pretty heinous crimes, but not all of them.
Which I think is funny because TYT, that's been their whole thing for such a long time now, is like, oh, you know, we're not corporate media, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, yeah, I mean, you are, though. Like, you got money from a billionaire. You got money from Polymarket. What makes you so different? What makes TYT so different? You're not, I just... They are corporate media, essentially. They're courting right-wingers. Apparently, Jank had a horrible take on this, but I haven't seen that. I haven't looked into that. I just know that, like, someone showed it to Hassan the other day, and he was like, please don't show me this. Like, don't show me this. Listen, Thanksgiving's going to be real interesting this year, let's just say. I definitely don't understand TYT's thought process in all of this. I guess, yeah, they just want to get money from people like Polymarket. That inevitably is going to change how they cover things.
Yeah, let me go ahead and point this out real quick. Polymarket was pretty much funded by Peter Thiel, and it's an online gambling site that's not even legal here in the U.S. So why are you taking Peter Thiel money, which is the exact same type of money J.D. Vance takes? What the fuck are you doing? To paraphrase Dave Chappelle, or to quote Dave Chappelle, excuse me, in that little Mitsubishi clip where he also introduced his most infamous character, which happened to be a black white supremacist.
But Anna wants to sit here and take ICE's word for it. So that's what Francesca was saying. So Anna, in her report on this, she was talking about how, like, ICE did arrest some criminals and she has no sympathy for them and blah, blah, blah. Now, is there any evidence for this? Is there anything, is there any proof that they...
I'm doubting it. I'm highly doubting it. The same way they have no proof with Kilmar Borrego Garcia, who they finally brought back and are now trying to level federal charges against him, trying to say he was a human trafficker, even though ICE were the ones who literally human fucking trafficked him. I'm sorry, to a foreign slave labor camp in El Salvador. What the fuck we're governed by idiots. We are governed by fucking idiots with fascistic tendencies. I swear to God, I can't fucking cope today.
They had that they were criminals. No, it's just what ICE saying, and it's up on their website. And Alicia Miller, I watched her video the other day, and actually 2 of the people that were on that website were already arrested and already in jail. And so they were already lying about 2 of the people they said that they apprehended. He did that with the whole gang thing in, where was it, like Ohio? That's exactly what she did. And she stoked that fear. She stoked that fire. She's perpetuating this lie that there are all these criminals and that they are going after criminals and blah, blah, blah. When they're not. They're not. They went to a elementary school the other day and they lied to the elementary school and said that, ICE did. They lied to the elementary school, said that their guardians were approved of them taking these kids out of class, and the elementary school was like, no.
They asked for the warrant as well, and they weren't able to provide that. Let me skip ahead, because there's another clip of Anna she talks about here. Right about here.
With that, because it doesn't matter what any protester does, everyone has an issue with it.
It all kind of began on Friday. Things started to escalate on Friday night, although on Friday night, for the most part, with a few exceptions, things were under control. However,
yeah, things were under control, so you're gonna fuck it up.
These riots have grown, and last night was probably the worst of it. This continues to grow. I wouldn't be surprised if it does continue to get worse.
Hey, it's Lou Wilson. I'm down here at the heart of the LA protests. To my right, we got about 50 to 60.
Wait, what the fuck is happening? Wait a minute, what the fuck? What the fuck? Hold on. We went from this to...
Was probably the worst of it. this continues to grow. I wouldn't be surprised if it does continue to get worse.
Hey, it's Lou Wilson. I'm down here at the heart of the LA
Why does this look like something I would do?
protests. To my right, we got about 50 to 60 protesters all out here chanting and singing together, holding up signs, enjoying the honks of drivers by. Incredibly calm, incredibly peaceful, just people together exercising their First Amendment right and their desire for justice. To my left, we have an extreme display of military force. We have members of the National Guard and the LAPD who are armed and ready to dispense protesters, be it with rubber bullets or tear gas, a number of military vehicles, and soon 700 Marines. Though I'll tell you,
well,
the
that's all right
I get from them is boredom and a sense of what are we doing here. And then, of course, we've also got about 10, 15 news outlets all here not filming anything and instead running these same kind of 3 images of burning Waymos from this weekend.
I went to like a training or a meeting or something, and they were saying try not to judge people for how they protest or whatever, because you don't know what this
Rights. He has literally said the same fucking thing. So this is Go ahead, Karen.
They were doing peaceful protests, and they were getting met with violence. They were doing peaceful protests, and everyone was telling them, well, if you would just behave a little bit better, then, then maybe people would want to be a part of your cause. And that's essentially what Anna was saying. That's what a lot of people are saying. And it's very frustrating because it's like, no, you're not a part of this cause. You don't want to be a part of this cause. You're actually on the other side of this cause, but you're trying to gaslight everybody else into thinking that, like, well, maybe if you just acted differently, didn't look that way, what have you, I would have a different opinion. And it's like, no, you're not going to have a different opinion. You just want to feel better about yourself for not standing up. You want to feel better about yourself because you have cognitive dissonance and you can see what's going on. And instead of you doing something about it, instead of you speaking out about it, you decide to disparage everybody else who is, because deep down inside, you feel guilty and you know you're wrong. And so you're trying to sit here and be like, oh, well, if they would just, do this a little bit differently, maybe then I would be a part of it. I would support them. No, this happens in every movement. This happens in every protest. This happens all the time. Everyone always has something to say. Everyone always has a complaint. I think Caroline
just
Kwan,
preach at this point.
She summed it up great. I think it's perfect. She said, there is no way to protest against fascism that the fascist powers will deem acceptable. When protest is peaceful, they respond with violence. When protest is not peaceful, they respond with violence. So ultimately, those who are siding with ICE, the cops, and federal government believe that the only correct form of protest is no protest at all.
I'm sorry, hold on. Carolyn, or at Carolyn Kwan, any relation to a Carol Kwan? Carolyn Kwan is correct. That seems to be the type of protest that Anna's apparently okay with. And speaking of being okay with doing nothing at all, Cenk Uygur.
Protesters, etc., right? So that has happened. But did some people commit violence and property damage? Yes, they did. Should they be considered part of our allies and protesters and our side? No, turn them in, okay?
I'm sorry?
Horses trampling on protesters, etc., right? So that has happened. But did some people commit violence and property damage? Yes, they did. Should they be considered part of our allies and protesters and our side? No, turn them in.
So let me make sure I'm understanding this, motherfucker. Cops trampling somebody with their horses, even if they aren't doing any of the bullshit things you're describing in there, allowing cops to trample people with their horses is A-okay in your book? Is that what you're fucking saying here, jackass? Give me a minute. I'm getting pissed.
Okay? Don't listen to radical idiots telling you, oh, they're just, they're just protesting. They're not protesting. The civil rights movement would never tolerate violence because it destroyed the movement.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Back then, racists people to go, you see, black people are all violent. That is why they policed themselves and made sure there was no violence, so there would be no excuse for the authorities to commit much bigger violence on them.
Yeah, and the authorities are actually the ones doing the violence, Jank, and I'm pretty sure this is what they're asking anytime people break out their smartphones these days.
Are you fucking filming us right now?
Exactly. That's what they're asking. I digress.
So if you see anyone in a protest doing violence, burning a Waymo, burning things down, doing property damage on innocent people's homes.
By the way, Waymo is pretty much owned by Google. I'm pretty sure because of all the tax handouts that the MAGA Republicans, corporate Republicans, and honestly corporate Democrats love to hand out to rich fucks who don't need them, yet alone deserve them. They can afford to replace those 5 Waymos. Excuse me. And as far as Waymo, that name is concerned, that's honestly literally the dumbest fucking name for a company ever that I've ever heard of. I don't use Taurus.
And hurting the immigrants, hurting our communities. They're so counterproductive. It makes me wonder if they're a false flag operation, right? Because if you were a right winger and you wanted to turn all sympathy against LA, against the cities, against our communities, against immigrants, you would go in, burn a bunch of things down, burn the American flag, and act like the idiots who broke the law did. You've got to get rid of those people. You've got to keep it peaceful.
Hold on. Burning the flag was decided as protected by the First Amendment in 1989. Do I agree with it? No. But is it protected? Yes. It is. I'm sorry, but it is. Just because I don't agree with it, much like Jank is trying to point out here, doesn't mean I want to infringe on somebody else's right. I'll just do what a lot of people should be doing when it comes to women who get abortions, or... Hold on, I had something better for this. Honestly, what they should do is treat it like Republicans end up treating children, and the way Joe Paterno ended up treating the people who were found in Sandusky's basement or abused in Sandusky's basement. Look the other way.
Moral high ground and we win. I know radicals will say, no, violence is the answer because they're stupid. Okay, Moss.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit. Look at John's face. Oh my God. Seriously, this is what I would be saying if I was John right about now.
Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch?
I mean, seriously, that's the look on John's face. Oh my God. It really, excuse me. Holy shit. Oh my God. Let me see. Can I make this bigger and focus on John here? Oh my God. John is all of us in this clip. I'm sorry, but he is. Oh, I need it. Excuse me. All right, I needed that. All right, so we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this. Oh my God, that was funny. little birthday parade was. And holy shit. Thank you, Kyle Kalinske, for sharing that image. Okay, so NPR has an article titled 3 Takeaways from the Military Parade and No King's Protests on Trump's Birthday. The U.S. Army celebrated its 250th anniversary on Saturday with a massive military parade that cost $45 million in Washington, D.C. against a backdrop of political division and protests, savaging Donald Trump's rippling across the country. Trump, whose 79th birthday corresponded with the Army anniversary, had long dreamed of holding such a display of America's military might. Now, if you remember this from the first term when, we could actually call this an administration instead of a regime, Trump wanted to have a military parade going back to that time and was pretty much told, no. I want to have a military parade, a big, beautiful parade. No. Hey, but I want a parade. No. I mean, it was essentially the same interaction Tyler Hadley had with his parents before he murdered them. That's literally the type of interaction I believe took place. All right, so anyways, the parade stirred up controversy for what opponents view as politicalization, there we go, I can finally talk, of the nation's armed forces and a break from U.S. democratic norms, and sparked an organized No Kings protest movement across the country on Saturday. Now, when it comes to the No Kings protests, there were some also that popped up in Europe. There were some that popped up, I want to say there was one in Australia. There were a couple that popped up. I think one was in Africa, which is kind of funny to see that happen there. Several in Mexico, several in Canada, I think 3 or 4 in Germany, which is part of Europe. Anyways, it was pretty massive. And as I pointed out earlier, we ended up having a total of 5 million people take part in it, which is really astonishing in a good way. I'm glad to see it. It gives me hope for the future. I'm sorry, but it does, especially in these trying times. Now, the 3 takeaways: stormy clouds didn't rain on the parade, even though there were umbrellas that looked like they had raindrops on them. It featured dozens of armored tanks and artillery vehicles such as HIMARS, Army aircraft, including Black Hawk helicopters and Apaches, and more than 6,000... I mean, look, hold on. Let me pause this for a second so I can shrink myself down a little further so you guys can see this better without me directly on it. Look at this. Look at this. Holy shit. Oh my god, that's depressing, but total karma. Total karma, if you ask me. Oh my god. Now, there were other parts of this. Not that one. Here it is. Look at this. It was so dead. Listen. Look at how dead this was. Oh my god. Okay, I guess not. Alright, so you get the idea of that. Oh my god. Talk about embarrassing. And the reason for it was because no kings.
Crowds gathering from coast to coast for those so-called No Kings Day protests, counter-programming to the military parade in Washington, D.C., marking the Army's 250th birthday. Protests planned in all 50 states and law enforcement on high alert. ABC's Matt Gutman is in Los Angeles tonight.
Tonight, thousands of protests taking place nationwide against the Trump administration's policies and perceived overreach, and to counter-program the president's military parade in Washington.
I'm sorry, perceived overreach? I'm pretty sure he just meant to say overreach. I'm dead serious. I cannot believe you just worded it like that.
From Atlanta to New York and Durham, North Carolina. From Frisco, Texas and Angola, Indiana in the center of the country to San Diego on the West Coast. Overall, more than 2,000 separate demonstrations of different sizes in all 50 states today, according to the organizers of the so-called No Kings protests, voicing opposition to Trump's agenda.
We're advocating for the rights of our immigrant families.
Agenda.
We're advocating for...
Hold on.
So-called No Kings protests.
I'm sorry, what?
According to the organizers of the so-called No Kings...
So-called? Oh my god. Maybe instead of firing Terry Moran, you should have fired this motherfucker.
Kings protests.
I mean, seriously, the way he said so-called No Kings protests, yeah, that's journalistic malpractice. It was literally No Kings. Because Trump wants to be a fucking dictator. He wants to be a monarch. He wants to be the supreme ruler. And you're going to sit there and say supposed and so-called? Fuck you.
Voicing opposition to Trump's agenda.
We're advocating for the rights of our immigrant families.
I'm a proud American and am not very happy with things that are going on in our country.
And today, the president seeming to blink on his immigration crackdown. Today, DHS officials confirming to ABC News the president told ICE to pause most raids on farms, hotels, and restaurants.
Yeah, probably because he realized they were the ones who voted for him. Just going to point that out. And now he's wanting to invade not just Los Angeles, but Chicago, New York City, and I forget the other two places that were on that list. I can't remember off the top of my head. Again, Monday brain, people, Monday brain.
Protesters marching right up to the president's doorstep. Demonstrators today near Mar-a-Lago, at times standing face-to-face with a line of heavily armed officers. In Minnesota, many of the planned demonstrations were canceled due...
Oh, there's what I was saying! See how that looks? I'm sorry, that looks planted. They might as well have written it out like this. I mean, seriously, that's what it looks like. Are you fucking kidding me? But yeah, now you see why I was making that point earlier.
Due to that horrific shooting, after authorities say they found flyers for the protests in a vehicle at the scene. And in Austin, the Texas...
Yeah, and that shit looks totally fucking planted. Just gonna be honest and say how it looks to me.
State Capitol evacuated after authorities there say they identified a credible threat towards state lawmakers planning to attend the protest. And here in Los Angeles, an estimated 20,000 gathering, and we were there as the throng arrived outside the federal building.
Many hundreds of people flocking right here to the federal building. Running the lobby are active duty U.S. Marines, and you can hear the crowd chant, "Shame on you."
Tensions in the city still high amid a week of immigration protests that have led to clashes between police and demonstrators.
Yeah. Clashes that were most likely instigated as soon as Trump sent the National Guard when they were all peaceful, despite what Anna Kasparian and corporate media would love for you to think. Now, just to be completely honest, TYT has pretty much become corporate media, as you might have noticed when we were taking a look at those clips that were compiled by Liz Ashley over on her channel.
And despite the obvious tension behind me, we've seen tens of thousands of protesters out here in the streets of Los Angeles, and it has been absolutely peaceful. Police have taken a very hands-off approach. Still, the LAPD says the curfew that's been in effect for parts of downtown LA will remain in effect tonight and into tomorrow.
Yeah, as far as I know, those have not been totally lifted. Here's the graph I was looking for earlier. So, the No Kings protests ended up being the biggest or largest protest in political protest in U.S. history. So, let me write down this chart a little bit for you. This one right here, the 5.0 million participants is No Kings. With 4.16 million people was the Women's March in 2017. The third highest was the Vietnam moratorium in 1969 with 2 million. March for Our Lives, of course, in 2018 was just spearheaded by David Hogg, who is unfortunately now not affiliated with the DNC as a co-chair. Huge fucking mistake, if you ask me, by the DNC. But of course, they're gonna do stupid shit because they're hell-bent on just losing and being feckless. Why else do you think they still have Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer in leadership positions that they clearly aren't qualified to hold? Because they are not meeting the moment and the severity of the moment we have right now. All right, so 1.20 or 1.20 million for the March for Our Lives in 2018. The fifth largest was the Nuclear Freeze Rally in 1982 at 1 million, and then the George Floyd BLM peak of 2020, which was 500,000. So let's see. I'm curious how many. How many people attended the Military Day Parade? Oh, shit. I actually didn't see this from the New Republic. We're going to read this one. I'm really curious how they worded this. Trump's military parade was a pathetic event for a pathetic president. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Okay. The turnout wasn't anything like what he wanted, and not everyone who showed up was even a fan. Oh, shit. 3 dozen horses, 28 Abrams tanks, 6,700 soldiers, and millions of taxpayers' dollars later, and Donald Trump's military parade was still a flop at best. Ouch. Ouch. Holy shit. A crowd that was well under the administration's Okay, let me stop right there and just correct it to regime for you. So let me start that over with the correct wording. A crowd that was well under the regime's projected 200,000 peppered the National Mall Saturday in a festival-styled event featuring Army info sessions, military fitness challenges, weapons exhibits. Oh, great. Lauren Boebert probably came a few times just from seeing guns. Well, if the band was still playing on that stage, then that's pretty much a guarantee, given her reputation for what happened at Beetlejuice the Musical in that Colorado theater. All right, so weapons exhibits and other activities prior to the parade. Military members spoke on stage the entire time to a sparse audience, as most of the attendees pursued the various offerings, hoisting their children up into the massive tanks and turrets sitting on the mall for pictures. Oh, good lord. What the fuck is this? Get off. There was a sense of giddy satisfaction in the air as the parade's 6 p.m. start time approached. It was the same feeling I noticed during the inauguration weekend, a crowd that felt victorious and vindicated and knew it was among friends. People rushed to the front of the route as the parade began and expressed genuine awe and joy as Black Hawk helicopters, Howitzers, I think that's how you pronounce it. I have not seen that word in print. I've heard the word before, I just never seen it in print. Bear with me. And other heavy-duty war machinery trudged down Constitution Avenue. Don't be surprised if those roads need to be repaved now, because they were not made to handle military equipment going across them. But the parade itself was quite boring, save for those few moments. It was generally very quiet, so quiet you could clearly hear the creaks and squeaks of the armored vehicles, with intermittent music that was constantly being lowered so that the parade narrator could announce each battalion. Oh, Oh, let me pull that video up again. I'm sorry, but they described it. They literally described it. They described it. God damn it, Squirrel, would you bastard. This. They literally described this. They literally described this. I mean, Christ on a stick. That's embarrassing. Am I not? There we go. Go back down. Weak chance of USA. USA popped up every 10 minutes or so. And the majority at the parade was just soldiers walking by, not even marching in step. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, hold on. I need to see this. Oh, holy shit. I need to see this. Let me see if I can find it. If we could... There it is! There's one! There's one! Just normal walking! Just normal walking! Just normal walking! Look at this shit! Oh my god, I'm sorry, hold on. I got something else for that. I mean, seriously, that's worthy of the world's smallest violin. Here. Now, I don't mean this as any disrespect to our armed forces. My grandfathers on both my mother's side and my father's side served. My grandfather, of course, on my dad's side fought the Japanese in World War II. And my grandfather on my mother's side was a weapons tester for Korea because he had flat feet and they wouldn't let him go over. So, this is not disrespecting the military in any way. I actually have a lot of appreciation for them, except for those who decided they were going to pretty much become incredibly partisan at Trump's little speech at what was it? Whatever that fort was, and the name of it escapes me at the moment. But the speech Trump did in North Carolina on Tuesday, Jesse Dahmer has a really good video where he breaks that down. I'm going to highly recommend that. And holy hell, talk about partisan. And if you see that video and your thought isn't they need to be court-martialed and or be forced to I'm sorry, I'm getting pissed. Or be forced or be dishonorably discharged. There we go. That's what I was looking for. That's literally what needs to happen with those people. Okay. Alright, so going back to the article, the majority of the parade was just soldiers walking by, not even marching in step with each other in military garb from wars past. Children grew weary in the humidity, as did some adults. One man wearing an Infowars.com shirt, oh god damn it, kept yelling, "Bring out the tanks," and complained that people got no energy out here. Another started scrolling on TikTok. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that's funny. There were large cheers for West Point and some confused murmurs from the Boston Dynamics robot dogs. Wait, what? That's a thing? The event didn't truly begin to feel electric until the parade ended and Trump and J.D. Vance spoke. Oh, God damn it. I'm not even going to torture us with watching that. Crowds of people hurried to the other side of the mall to catch a glimpse of Trump as he spoke behind a humongous piece of glass hundreds of yards away for about 7 minutes. 7 minutes? That's it? Oh, what? Jesus Christ. We might need to watch that later in the week then. The finale featured massive fireworks and more music as people linked in arms and swayed while they sang, "I'm proud to be an American." Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, you might be proud to be American if you were swaying and singing along to that, and I'm pretty sure Trump was doing the double hand job dance that he likes to do. Or just swaying like he did during the general election. But a lot of us on the left and also independents, we love our country, but right now we're embarrassed. We are embarrassed to be Americans because of this bullshit. Believing in a con artist, a convicted felon. He was convicted of 34 counts, and he wants to talk about law and order? He really wants to talk about law and order? Yeah, law and order my aching ass. Law and order, in Trump's case, targets anyone who's not white. Let's be honest about that. Alright, so let's get back to the article real quick. No exaggeration, this is the most patriotic I've ever seen America, said Malik Meeks. Malik Meeks. Meeks. Meek. I'm sorry, I had that thought. Alright, so he was a 20-year-old man who stood alone screaming America into the night sky while the fireworks went off. He is currently attempting to join the Air Force. Oh, good Lord. Many of the attendees felt that this parade was necessary because the military had been disrespected, weakened, and kneecapped by, quote, the left. No, they had not. They are currently being led by an alcoholic. They are being led by an adultering alcoholic with white nationalist tattoos on his body. So no, they were doing fine until that motherfucker showed up. They believed that a show of force and pride could directly remedy that. Cost and optics be damned. Alright, if you truly believe that, like, at all, one, I have a bridge that I would love to sell you, and two, you really are. Alright, so going back to this really quick, and I'm not going to read the rest of this out loud. I'm going to recommend you guys either search it out or someone email me and I'll pin it in the comments if you can remind me. I think there's a gigantic disconnect between the American populace and the military. The military has turned into a culture of warriors. Really? I haven't seen that at all. It's like a family thing now, right? Said Brandon, a 24-year-old retired Army veteran from Pennsylvania who didn't want to give his last name. Okay, smart boy. Smart boy. I'll give you that. Excuse me. Brandon was actually at the last military parade at the Satire, the Gulf War Victory Parade in the summer of 1921. Okay, time out. If he's 24 years old, he would have been born in either 2000 or very early 2001. I think. If someone correct me in the comments if I fucked that up. But how the fuck Could you have been at the Gulf War victory parade in the summer of 1991 if you are 24 years old? Make it make sense a little bit. It would really help us all out. People walking down the street will say thank you for your service, but they won't suggest it to their teenage children or the people in their lives. And there's a reason they don't. There really is a reason there, Brandon. You see, we see that our government likes to treat our soldiers like shit. They like to nickel and dime them on medical expenses. And not to mention, we have veterans who are homeless. Homeless. Let that sink in. Let that sink in there, Brandy. Or Brandon. Sorry, didn't mean to butcher your name there. But think about that for just a second. If we have a government that disrespects our military like that, why would you be surprised that people have respect for those who serve but don't recommend it? I'm sorry, but that's something you really need to consider here. Not to mention lying about the Iraq war, or lying about the reasons to go to war with Iraq, which the excuse was they had weapons of mass destruction, and that's where Osama bin Laden reportedly ran off to when he didn't. So, no. And now we're most likely going to end up in a war with Iran because Israel, much like they did with the war in Iraq, are wanting us involved in it because they're almost done with their ethnic cleansing, their genocide in Gaza. Now, let me go ahead and clear this up real quick since I brought this up. As far as Hamas is concerned, fuck them. Fuck Hamas in the ass, mouth, and cunt. Fuck them. But it does not give an excuse for collective punishment for wiping out an entire race of people or an entire ethnicity. It does not warrant that. I'm sorry, it does not. And when it gets to the point where you somehow manage to lose a far-right propagandist like Piers Morgan, holy shit. It's the one issue TYT, Jake and Anna are actually still on the right side of history of, to their credit. But as far as everything else they've said, excuse me, they are so full of shit that their eyes might as well be brown. And going back to the homeless veteran thing real quick, I wouldn't be surprised if Anna would be giddy and spit and kick them just because she hates homeless people that much. Alright, so it was essentially a clusterfuck to the tune of $45 million. And with that, we will be right back. All right, we are back now. Trump, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, Trump is promising to deploy National Guard troops to blue states, or blue cities, I should say. And this is from Axios. Here we go. Trump orders ICE to step up deportation efforts in democratically run cities. Donald Trump has ordered Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, or his personal Gestapo, let's just call a spade here, to expand efforts to detain and deport undocumented immigrants in Democratic-run cities. Trump's order comes as California's Democratic leaders challenge him in the courts over his deployment of the state National Guard and U.S. Marines to ICE protests in Los Angeles, one of the cities he singled out in Sunday's Truth Social post. And let me see if I can get that to load to read it to you. Is it going to load? Let's see. Or is it going to try to make me create an account? Okay, here we go. Here's what he said. Our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation operation of illegal immigrants in history. Every day. All right, let me stop already. What's with the capitalization of like certain words? ICE officers, mass deportation operation, illegal aliens, history. What the fuck? Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission. Yeah, the ethno cleansing or ethnic cleansing you're engaging in with this. That's what you're fucking doing. Where did I leave off? Oh, right here. And fulfilling our mandate to the American people. Yeah, you only won by 1.4%. That's not a mandate. Reagan had a mandate. You do not. You have a plurality, if that. ICE officers are herewith ordered, by notice of this truth, let's... And we're going to go into that here in a minute, his cognitive decline. That's how we're going to end the show. To do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. In order to achieve this, we must expand efforts to detain and deport illegal aliens in America. Those largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York, where millions upon millions of illegal aliens reside. These and other such cities. Again, notice the capitalizations here. Hold on, let me make this bigger so you guys can see what the fuck I'm talking about. Look at this. Look at this. What the fuck? Cities does not need to be capitalized in this sentence. I'm sorry, and millions upon millions of illegal aliens did not need to be capitalized. These and other such cities, see, here we go again, are the core of the Democrat power center. What power center? What power center? I'm sorry, there's none. And if there was, I was never told about it, so what the fuck are you even talking about? Where they use illegal aliens to expand their voter base. Okay, another falsehood right there. They have to go through a process to become a U.S. citizen. A lot of them are actually trying to do that when they show up to their court dates when trying to undergo the legal process. Your goon squad, under the orders of you and Stephen the Forehead Miller, have been going to court dates to arrest these people for going through it legally. Cheat in elections? You mean like the alleged cheating you and Elon did? Alright, I'm trying to look into that one because I'm taking that with a ton of salt, to be completely honest, but felt the need to point that out. And grow the welfare state, robbing good-paying jobs and benefits from hard-working American citizens. These radical left Democrats are sick of mind, hate our country, and actually want to destroy our inner cities. Alright, sick of mind would be your supporters. Look at the dipshit who murdered that Minnesota state lawmaker and then wounded another. As case in point here, fuckhead. Bear with me, I'm getting pissed. And as far as hating our country goes, you're the one who has literally been trampling all over the Constitution, ignoring court orders, excuse me. So, no. That would be you and your dipshit supporters. And they're doing a good job of it. Yeah, you're doing a good job of fucking this entire country to hell and back. You and your dipshit supporters and your enablers and ass kissers. That's why they believe in open borders, transgender for everybody. Okay, let me stop there. Do you know the process for somebody to transition? I have a friend who's actually a trans woman, believe it or not. And do you want to know how difficult it is to undergo that process? Pretty fucking difficult. You have to go on hormone blockers. You have to undergo hormone therapy for years. You have to undergo a reassignment surgery at the very end of your transitioning. So, no. It's not like how he described it as they're putting children, changing their genders in school cafeterias. I worked in a public school for 5 years as a substitute teacher and then a teacher's aide. There was never one instance of anybody having an operation or anything like that. Seriously? If you truly believe this, you're a fucking moron. You really are. Excuse me. And men playing in women's sport, again, you have to undergo a lot of hormone therapy. The Daily Wire tried to do this documentary of men and women's sports, and you know what? It ended up not being a thing, and that's why they made that stupid Lady Ballers film. Do not recommend. And that is why I want ICE, border control, and our great and patriotic law enforcement officers. Yeah, they're great and patriotic when they're not thwarting your band of misfits to overturn a free and fair election like they did on January 6th. Notice the theme there? To focus on our crime-ridden and deadly inner cities and those places where sanctuary cities play a much bigger role. All right, let me stop here again. Sanctuary cities mean they have laws on the books where whether you're in the country legally or not, you are able to report a crime that you see take place, and it protects you from being deported. Do away with that? Guess what? Crime will skyrocket. You don't hear about our sanctuaries. You don't hear about sanctuary cities in our heartland. I want our brave ICE officers to know that real Americans are cheering you on every day. Just know that's code for white nationalist fucks. The American people want our cities, schools, and communities to be safe and free from illegal alien crime, conflict, and chaos. 0.001% of illegal immigrants commit any type of crime or serious crime or chaos. That's why I've directed my entire administration to put every resource possible behind this effort. Where I'm pretty sure Kristi Noem is going to be buying a lot of new outfits to cosplay as. And reverse the tide of mass destruction migration that has turned our once idyllic towns into a third world dystopia. I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna lose it. But going back to that last line I just read, no. The reason we're being turned into a third world dystopia is because of your actions. Because you have Gestapo running around and going after people left, right, and center. It's your fault, motherfucker! Jesus fucking Christ! It's you, asshole! You're the fucker making us a third world goddamn dystopia country! This is on you! Oh. I could not keep that in anymore. So what Trump is essentially going to do is target these democratically run cities. And, you know, fuck forbid he targets any red states. To achieve this, Trump wrote, let me go back to the Axios article. To achieve this, Trump wrote, we must expand our efforts to detain. Yeah, I read that to you. He added, okay, so he pretty much echoed the baseless claims he made about the 2024 presidential elections. Democrats using undocumented immigrants to cheat in elections, among other allegations that he did not provide evidence on. Don't be surprised when Anna starts regurgitating that garbage. You know, because she likes to surround herself now with garbage people. When asked for comment about Trump's order, representative for LA Mayor, Karen Bass pointed to comments she made on MSNBC before the announcement, criticizing the regime, for ICE raids for creating a sense of fear among major sectors of the city's economy. You really could destabilize the economy of Los Angeles, she said. Her office did not immediately respond to Axios' follow-up request on Sunday evening to comment specifically on Trump's new order. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said in a statement Monday that the Trump regime's actions, expanding deportations to hit arbitrary quotas, are unconscionable, adding that the move incites fear and causes more problems than they solve. No shit. The city will continue to uphold the Welcoming City Ordinance and the Illinois Trust Act, which ensures that our local law enforcement will not be used as federal immigration enforcement. And to that, hold on, where's my applause button? Good on Brandon Johnson. Representatives for the New York City mayor's office did not immediately comment. Yeah, probably because Eric Adams got all his corruption charges dropped from the DOJ in exchange for being Trump's pawn. Because he's a spineless pussy. Top Trump aide Stephen Miller and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, a.k.a. Ice Barbie, demanded late last month that ICE seek to arrest 3,000 people a day, triple what agents were arresting in the early days of the second regime. However, Trump acknowledged Thursday that his very aggressive immigration policies were ripping longtime workers from the farming and hospitality industries and moved to halt ICE raids on those working at hotels, farms, meatpacking plants, and restaurants. I'll believe that one when I see it. The administration's hardline immigration policy has triggered nationwide protests, and many of the millions at Saturday's No Kings demonstrations that were held to counter the military parade Trump hosted on his birthday displayed signs that were critical of ICE raids, and rightfully so. So, needless to say, maggots are losing this war. And Trump doesn't like it. To which I say, tough. Tough. Don't like it? Then that's too damn bad. Because we are going to push back whether you like it or not. You're not the absolute ruler like you and your cult followers think you are. You're a jackass who's gotten in over his head. Plain and simple. All right, that's going to be the show for today, guys. I was going to do one other segment, but we are way over time. I'm looking to be back either later in the week or possibly next week. Until then, bye-bye, everybody.